And then, well, that unraveled completely, but it gave me an idea. Welcome to Camp Rad City. If you're ready to kick off this summer with some fun projects that you can do with your kids to keep them occupied, I've gotcha. So buckle in and let's go make something awesome. For my first project, I'm going to be using this very holographic, very rad city. So I'm going to be using 2 of those. I actually ended up getting a ton of different colors, but they're $1.25, so there's lots that you can choose from. Okay, I'm also going to be using 2 jump rings, my hole punch, my scissors. I have a pair of needle nose pliers on hand just in case these jump rings need to be opened for any reason. I don't think they will, but they might. Okay, I'm gonna start with this duct tape. So I'm gonna peel a piece off, maybe if I can find the edge. Okay, and I'm aiming for like maybe 6 inches or so. The longer it is, the harder it's gonna be to get it to line up correctly. So just keep that in mind. I'm wanting to use it as sort of like a wrist strap, so I am gonna go a little bit bigger. And okay, so I got my first piece of duct tape. I'm gonna slide these. I'll just throw those in there for now. And the first step is to not let the tape touch itself. Yeah, so, but the first step is to bend it inward so that you get a fold in roughly halfway to the middle, okay? I recommend starting in the middle because it gets easier to kind of like push all the air out, but you want to be mindful of trying to keep it even and trying not to let any air bubbles happen along the way up. Okay, so I just slid my fingers along it almost as if it's like a Go-Gurt packet, like this. All right, and then all the way up. And then any like lumpy parts, you just want to try to smooth those out if you can. The nature of duct tape is it's never going to lay completely perfectly, but okay. And then on the other side, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to try to get it to meet, if not slightly overlap, like that. And then same deal, we're just going to use our fingers to kind of smooth it out and make sure everything connects nicely. Okay, so far so good. I'm just trying to make sure that this doesn't curl too far. And then this is just my problem, but I always end up having like a tiny gap up here. I'm gonna see if I can trim some of that away. I'll just go about right there. Okay. Okay, so now we have our strip. This is what's gonna be the wristlet. Okay. And then now I'm gonna add some holes at the top for my keychain. And I want it to be at least like 1/4 of an inch from the top and right in the middle, like that. Okay, just using the hole punch to go right through the tape. Same on the other side, and in fact I'm gonna like try to line it up to make sure that it's fairly even on both sides, like this. Okay, I'm going to line my hole punch with the hole that I hit the first time. And then now I have my 2 holes. Now you could loop your keychain through that. You've got a good lip here, but after a while, like over time, it will start to wear out. So to kind of stave that off, I'm going to use these 2 jump rings and another little bit of this. So I'm going to go like maybe 2-3 inches. Doesn't need to be huge. Okay. All right. On one side, I'm going to just place as close to the center as I can. And by center, I mean like the center of the tape, not the middle of the. And then I'm gonna punch a hole. Okay. I'm gonna line that up with the first hole. Like this. I want to try to get it as centered as possible. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to line those up as best I can. And then again, I'm going to put this kind of like in the middle of the edge. And then I'm going to come over here and line that up. Like that. And then I'm going to hole punch that as well. There we go. And now I'm going to very carefully bring the 2 together, and it's even easier if you can use something like a pencil or a paintbrush to just line them up and then bring them together. And we're going to just kind of mash the tape together like that. Okay, so now we have some reinforced rings. It's like almost like a grommet situation. And I'm going to trim off the excess here. Like that. And then I'm going to cut this into a little tab. Okay. Now, another thing that you could do here is you could add accents using this. So one thing that like I really enjoyed doing, I used to do stuff like this in day camp during summer vacation. I don't know that I ever did this specific project, but I mean, there were so many different projects that we were doing. And I feel like I was the kid that was always like ignoring the instructor, and instead of doing whatever they said, I just kind of like took the supplies and made my own thing, which if you've been around here long enough, you kind of know that's like my MO. I never do anything that I don't use products the way they're meant to be used. My mom can attest to that. And then you can just add accents using, you know, the other colors. And then on the inside, if you didn't want to see this sort of like wraparound deal, you could always do this beforehand and then cover the inside with another piece of tape. So that would be really cool. I'm going to add another one on this side. And they may not exactly match. but they're just gonna give some fun visual interest, like that. Okay, now we have our rings here. I'm gonna try to trim off this excess so that it doesn't just feel sticky all the time. Okay, there we go. And last step, I'm gonna put in a keychain and like key fob, I guess you would call it. Okay, so I'm gonna add on a keychain. And this is a bit long, so I'm gonna go ahead and trim that a little bit. There we go. And now we have a nice little wristlet with a keychain that we can use for, you know, whatever we want to use it for. Imagine doing this with like your sports teams. Like my husband's a big Buffalo Bills fan, so I made this one. Like, if you can find the color in duct tape, you can have literally any kind of keychain that you want. So, and the really great thing about it is this basically becomes like a plasticized fabric, and it's not going to go anywhere. Like this is not going to rip. It's not going to tear. And then because we gave it those reinforced rings, the keychain part is going to last a pretty good long time. So this is definitely something like your kids could make it in junior high, and by high school they may still be using it. So keep that in mind. I really love how this turned out. It's super duper cute, and I'm ready to attach it to something. Okay, for this next project, I have this handle from a takeout bag, and it has like a twisted paper handle. So what I'm gonna do is take this out. I just need the handle. And I'm going to kind of see like what length I would need in order to wear this as a bracelet without, you know, needing it to be open or not. I would say this is probably about the right size. I'm gonna cut off just this nasty part up here, and then this part down here. Oh no, I have hiccups. Okay. So like this, yeah. Maybe go a little tighter. Yeah, about there. Okay. So I'm gonna, I actually pulled out some more duct tape. So I'm going to start by basically just closing this gap with some duct tape. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Okay, so right there in the middle, I'm gonna use some of the duct tape to just close that off and connect the two sides. Okay. Like that. Okay, so now they're connected. I'm gonna get rid of these two little excess pieces. I'm gonna get as close as possible. Same on this side, like that. Okay, and so now I have like the basis of a bangle. I've done this with these guys, I've done it with plastic bags, and I've also done it with, like, if you make the rope, like plastic bag rope, I'll put a link somewhere up here where you can watch a video of someone doing that. And then also zip ties. work really nicely for this too. If I can find some zip ties, I'll make a second example and do that. Okay, now here's the fun part. So once you have your two pieces together, you can use whatever you want to kind of like wrap it. So I'm gonna kind of give it like the, and this may be too wide. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's a little too wide. I'm gonna cut it in half so that it's gonna sit more nicely when I wrap it. Now you don't have to do this with duct tape. You could totally do it with maybe ribbon. Embroidery string would be really pretty. Just fabric in general would be really pretty. This is so awkward to do. Okay. Okay, I got them separated and now they want to stick together. All right, I'm gonna just set this over here and then I'm gonna start wrapping this around. So I'm gonna give it kind of an angle and then here, and you want to try to keep it as tight as you can. It's okay if it looks a little messy because we're gonna keep adding stuff until we're happy with it. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep wrapping like this. Until it's completely covered. And then I'm gonna keep going until the whole thing is covered in this silver tape. If you go to Dollar Tree and you're looking for this, it's over near like where the auto, I guess it depends on, you know, your store, but I found it at 2 stores in the automotive sort of area, like where they keep all of the stuff for your car or tools, little tool boxes and things like that. Okay, so I have one little section right here that still needs some tape. I almost had it perfectly. That would have been cool. Okay, but I'm just gonna cut a bit more to cover that. Okay, so now we have our wrapped piece, and this is going to be what we build the rest of our bracelet on. So you got a little bit of hollow there. I know you can't really see it very well, but it's there, it's sparkly. Okay, and then the next thing I'm gonna do is start adding some like embellishments and things. Okay, I don't know how many of these I'm gonna actually use, but I've got a good mix of different items here, and I'm just gonna kind of like wing it. Okay, so I have my base. I know it looks kind of wonky, but it's fine. And I have some ribbon, 2 colors of ribbon, some purple and some bright green. And then I have a variety of beads and things like that. First thing I'm gonna do is just pull off a little bit of this ribbon. I don't know, I'm just guessing. I can, whatever is left over, I can always use for something else. So I've got this purple ribbon to start. I've got my ribbon. I'm gonna secure it with a little bit of tape here. And I'm going to start wrapping it. And I don't want to completely cover up that silver because I actually really like the silver. Again, because it's holographic, so it looks pretty cool. So I'm just going through and kind of like wrapping it at an angle so that I still have some of those little gaps left. And I'm just going to take that all the way around. I'm gonna go ahead and trim it right here on the underside. And then I'm gonna put another little piece of tape right there to secure it. Okay, layer one down. I like how that looks. Now I'm gonna do the same thing with some green. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. I'll put that to the side over here for now. And then I have this super bright, vivid green ribbon that I love. I love this green and purple combo. Okay, so again, I'm gonna kind of bring it over here to start with. And then I'm gonna try and overlap it on the purple ribbon. So I need to stick this down somewhere. I'm pretty much just kind of like layering everything right here. There we go. Just for now. I can take this back out later. Okay, so I'm gonna just wrap that and try and land it on top of the purple. Now this is just what I'm doing, but obviously you can let your creativity take the reins. Let your kids figure out what colors they want to use. Again, if they play on a sports team, this would be a really fun like team building thing. If they go to a school that has certain colors, that could also be really fun. I think this would make a really, really cool birthday like activity or sleepover activity. Okay, until we get here, and then, well, that unraveled completely, but it gave me an idea. Okay, what if, stick that right there. What if we did it this way? Let me secure this down with some tape just to hold it in place for now. And then I'm going to tie a little bow here. Okay, so far looking pretty dang cute. Okay, now the last thing I want to do to it is I'm going to add some beads and then call it a day. So I'm just going to close my eyes and pick. Okay, I'm going to go like this. I'm going to cover this and then I'm going to use this hand to pull stuff out. And I'm going to choose 10 items. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and I'm going to swap that for that. Okay. Okay, so these will be the beads that I'm going to string onto my bracelet. Now, I could just leave it like this. I really like how this looks actually, and I may end up making another one just like it. But what I want to do, I wonder if I can take this piece off. Probably not without disrupting everything. No, it's fine. Okay. Okay, so now I wish I had tied the ribbon over on this side just to kind of distract from the amount of bulk over here. Yeah, I'm gonna undo this. Okay, so for the last step, I have a bit of wire. I'm gonna wrap it around probably right up here by the ribbon, or by the little bow, and I'm just gonna wrap it around a couple of times here. And I want to make sure that I come back later and make sure that this little end of the ribbon or of the wire does not poke, because nobody wants that. If you are doing this with like younger kids, I do recommend having them wear safety goggles, because you will if they're anything like I was as a child, I would be all over the place with this, and I would definitely have poked my eye by now. So keep that in mind. Like, just, you know your kid. If your kid is good with like being ambidextrous and things like that. If your kid is not like the type to wave around items that are sharp and pointy, then don't worry about it. But if they are, have them wear safety glasses. Nothing wrong with being safe. Okay, so I'm gonna just go along and add a bead on the outside of the bracelet, just at little intervals. I don't know exactly how many times I'm gonna like wrap it each time, but this is doing two things. First, it's adding our decorative items, and then it's also securing everything in place so that ribbon, if it works its way out from under the tape, it's not just gonna go haywire. So there we go. And then I like to try to force mine to lay flat facing outward, so that you can see it really, really well. And then I do recommend, when you add a bead, give it a couple of wraps right above it so that your bead kind of stays in place. You definitely want to use a thinner wire for this. And if this is too cumbersome, you could also do this in little bits. You don't need to have all of your wire out at once like this, if it doesn't work for you. Okay. Just making our way around. Maybe this guy. I think this could also be like a really fun bridesmaids like bachelorette party or like a bridal shower activity. If there's certain colors for your wedding that you're planning, this would be really fun for that. I don't know if I'm going to end up using all of these beads, because I'm already halfway around and I've only used 3 so far. But the more the merrier. I'm always like, what more can I add? You know that Coco Chanel quote, before you leave the house, look in the mirror and remove one item. I'm like, let's add on 3 extra items. She and I would probably not be good friends for a lot of reasons. But the lady could design a beautiful dress. Okay, I really love this like champagne colored skull. This was just the first bead box that I grabbed. It's all my like little glass specialty beads. Adorable. I'm gonna come back and do a loop on the underside as well. Okay. All right. What should our last little guy be? It kind of vaguely reminds me of those, like, what were they called? Like bourbon and bow ties bracelets that were really popular like in the early 2010s. They kind of had that same like thing going on with the beads. I think mine looks cooler though. I'm just gonna feed that right back up through like this. And then I'm going to use, so these did come in handy, like that. And I'm going to just try to clip it right there. Still a little bit poking out, so I'll probably need to get my flush cutters, which are right here. I finally remembered to bring them back to this room. There we go. Okay. Where'd it go? This guy. Right there. Make sure I don't clip the other wire. There we go. Okay, look how cute it is. It's very candy-esque. Let's see. Adorable. Imagine going to like a music festival with this. I love it. Okay, again, this can be any color, any design, any whatever you want it to be. It's just a matter of like how you want to put it together. So I'll probably also include a few more examples when I go to do photos, and you can kind of see what other different ways you can style this. So I think this turned out like so cute. Okay, so for the last project, I'm going to use those leftover beads. I threw in a couple more as well. And we're going to make a clip-in hair beaded string for your hair. I don't know what to call it. I used to love making these at summer camp. I would literally like bring a box of beads to summer camp, like day camp with me. And my friends and I would sit around and make things, and then we'd wear them for the day, and then at the end of the day we would take them all apart so that we'd have beads to use for the next day. I know that probably sounds sad, but I promise we were having an awesome time. Okay, so I have a couple of these eye pins. I just clipped the end off of one, only because I want to make sure that I'm making consistent loops. And that little piece was jagged. So, okay, I'm going to take this. Okay, I'm going to start with my eye pin, and I'm going to create a loop on each side. So here, I'm gonna grab it and let's say maybe like, that might be good. And then I'm going to twist it away from me all the way around until it's flush with the other side. And you can even like push it past the other side a little bit and then bring it back around. And then that will create a loop. Okay, I'm going to kind of bend it backward just slightly so that it sits nice and straight like that. And now I have a loop there. Now I want to make a note of where that was. So like here-ish. Okay, so I put a little mark on it with my paint marker, just so that I know exactly where to bend those loops. Okay, I'm gonna add my bead. And then I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side, but I'm gonna aim to try to have it to where the loop faces the other direction. So I'm gonna bend it back slightly like this, like that. And then I'm going to line this up as close to the bead as I can. And then I'm gonna wrap this around until it's flush with the other side. So you can see it right here. So it is flush with that other side. So I'll trim this like so. I say the word so entirely too much. And bend it together. And now I have a bead with the connector. Almost kind of like if you've ever seen a rosary. It sort of looks like that. Okay, so set that aside. I don't know how long I need to make this, so I'm gonna start with, let's say 10 random beads. So I have one of these. I'm gonna take these out for now since they're the same bead. And then I'm gonna, let's see, same thing I did earlier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we're gonna start with these, and now I'm going to do this method to all of those. Enjoy this music while I put these together. Okay, so I've wrapped all the beads. Now I need to hook them all together. To make it hang the way I want it to, I'm gonna angle these so that one is this way and the other goes this way. So to do that, I'm gonna hold one side with these pliers, and the other side I'm going to just twist until it's perpendicular. So one side again is facing up and down, the other is like laying flat. Okay, I'm going to do that to all of them. Okay, I'm feeling pretty happy about this layout. So now I just need to connect everything together. So just one by one, I'm going to go through and add the next bead onto the one before it. Okay, to finish this off, I have this little, it's part of like a clasp system, but I'm just going to use it in this way. So I want my skeletons to all face the right direction. And then I'm going to open up this top one. I'm going to slip this inside. As if basically I'm just building a bracelet. And honestly, if you have a bracelet, you could probably just do the same thing too that I'm about to do to turn it into a hairpiece. So, okay, I have my bracelet. It has this bigger loop up here on the top. And I have an alligator clasp. I'm just going to slide that down here. And now this can be put in here. So I'll take some photos with it and show you, the exact way that I styled it. But there's really just like tons of different options on how you could do it. You could even use like a bigger bobby pin, a really sturdy bobby pin, and it would probably give you the same result. So yeah, and then if you decide that it's, that's not the route you want to go with it, you can always turn it into a bracelet as well. So long story short, this would be really cool, in that way. All right, well, I hope you had a great time at Camp Rad City today. If you make any of these projects, either yourself or with your kids, let me know because I'd love to see how they turned out. And if I come up with more ideas like this, if this is something you're interested in, maybe even more videos with just crafting instead of resin crafting, let me know how you feel about that in the comments. And one way or another, we'll keep making this summer awesome. So go make something awesome this week, and as always, stay rad. If you want even more ideas on how you can make jewelry this summer, check out this video here. I think you're gonna love it.